Let's talk today about the fundamental concepts behind the tactical periodization methodology. Tactical periodization is not a fixed method or set of steps to follow. Instead, it's a way of thinking about training. It's more like a mix of art and science that helps coaches adapt to real-life situations in football. In tactical periodization, everything is based on a clear idea of how the team wants to play. This idea incorporates overall team tactics, defined by macro and meso principles, as well as individual tactics that detail each player's specific actions. The game idea is each coach's personal conception of the game, shaped by their experiences in football, what they have practiced, studied, and even invented. It is never a finished product and is something that evolves along with the coach. When a club hires a coach, they are hiring his football ideas. However, the coach cannot ignore the club's culture, and especially the characteristics of the players who will carry out the style of play he intends to implement. Two scientists, Robert Lefkowitz and Brian Kobilka, won the Nobel Prize for discovering how certain cell receptors help our bodies sense and adapt to the environment. These receptors enable the entire body to respond and adapt as a cohesive system. Just as the human body is a complex system composed of interconnected cells, a team is a complex system made up of individual players. This understanding highlights that adaptation to training must occur not only on individual level, but also in a way that supports functioning of the entire team. Tactical periodization relies on the concept of fractals to design sessions that reflect the coach's game idea. A fractal is a pattern that repeats itself at different scales. It's a self-similar structure, meaning that if you zoom in on part of it, you'll see a shape that looks like the whole. Fractionation is the process of dividing complex game behaviors into smaller, more manageable parts or fractions during training. This allows players to focus on specific elements of the game, but always in a way that reflects the entire game model. The weekly standards, training sessions, and exercises should always be understood as fractals of the game model to which the coach aspires. Every training session, exercise, and drill reflect the same tactical principles as the full match. Tactical periodization also incorporates principles influenced by epigenetics. Epigenetics refers to how your environment and lifestyle influence gene expression without altering your DNA. Catherine Malabou says that epigenetics is more important than genetics, and namely what we learn and experience shapes us more powerfully than our inherited traits. In this regard, tactical periodization is like epigenetics for football. It doesn't change the player's DNA, but it creates an environment where the right traits emerge, grow, and endure. Just as the brain needs new connections to adapt to unexpected challenges, a team sometimes needs new players to stay strong when someone gets injured or leaves. A player must stay open to what comes and be eager to learn. Malabou says that our brain retains the ability to change and learn new things and doesn't get worse with age, despite what many people believe. This ability to adapt is called plasticity. Our brain always balances change and stability, finding ways to repair itself without breaking how it normally works. With that in mind, it's important to incorporate both stability and variation in your training sessions. Stability may be represented by consistent rules or structure, while variation can come from changing the space, adjusting the time and the number of players. Our brain consists of three systems. One is fast, automatic, and intuitive. Another is slower, logical, and reflective. And the third system allows arbitration case by case between the first two. When you're first learning a new skill, your arbitrary system naturally relies on the slow and reflective process to get used to it. Once you've learned it, the arbitrary system activates the automatic mechanism to facilitate skill execution under space and time constraints. In football, you need both conscious and unconscious abilities, along with the highly developed arbitrary system. What defines a good football player is consistent, high-quality decision-making. This constant awareness shapes how a player deals with unexpected situations that arise during the game. Decision making in football relies not only on reason, but also on emotions. Emotions serve as a powerful guide in the learning process. For example, a simple phrase like "whoever loses collects all the material" increases players' emotional engagement and therefore enhances learning. When it comes to physiology, our muscles include both slow twitch and fast twitch fibers. Slow twitch fibers are ideal for long, steady efforts where fatigue resistance matters. In contrast, fast twitch fibers are built for short and explosive actions like sprinting, shooting, and jumping. Explosive movements are crucial in football, which is why fast twitch muscle fibers play a key role. As Thu-Fri says, if I have a Formula 1 car, why would I run it on diesel or even regular gas? It has to be high octane fuel. Similarly, football training should prioritize the activation of fast twitch muscle fibers. In addition, players must rest frequently, as soon as their brain and muscles learn something. Therefore, 3 10-minute emotional sessions are better than one 30-minute play, as learning and dynamism that happen in these 10 minutes are more accentuated. In tactical periodization, each training day targets a specific physical quality, tension, duration, or speed, aligned with the team's playing style. You train horizontally, alternating the focus so players can develop without burning out, and the training is always connected to the way your team plays. Even though Tuesday is labeled a recovery day, it's not a total rest. A little gentle stimulation helps the body recover better than complete rest. Think of it as someone with liver problems being told to stop drinking for a year. If he sneaks small sips, his body will get used to it a little. But if he stays sober and then suddenly binge, the reaction would be much worse. Tuesday involves playful and varied activities like agility work or foot volley that stimulate creativity and coordination without causing mental or physical overload. Wednesday's training session is usually characterized by high muscle tension. This day incorporates eccentric work where your muscles contract while lengthening. Players improve through game-like situations that strengthen their muscles without overloading them. In these games, they learn to think and act under pressure like in real matches. It is very similar to how children learn to play football in the streets, in an unstructured, creative, and joyful environment. Usually small-sided games like 4-a-side or 5-a-side are used to stimulate this without mentally overloading the players. In this way, players don't feel like they are learning, yet they still recover and adapt, especially on a deeper, unconscious level. On Thursday, everything must align with the team's tactical identity, their collective style of play. This session helps identify and address collective weaknesses, especially in players who have not yet fully grasped our main concepts. Tactical elements should not be trained in isolation on this day. For example, you shouldn't focus solely on passing, pressing, or positioning. They must be taught within the context of our game model and tactical scenarios. Here we can also include the strategic concerns for the next game, for example by telling Team B to mimic our next opponent without telling it to Team A. By Thursday, there are only 3 days until the next match, which is not enough for the ideal 4-day recovery training cycle. That's why on this day it makes most sense to have the session divided into 2, for example morning and afternoon training sessions. Friday also maximizes incidences of fast twitch muscle fibers, but now in relation to the speed of muscle contraction. This day must ensure the achievement of maximum speed, which is only possible in spaces with more than 25 meters of distance. Saturday's session includes light and fun challenges to keep players' brain engaged, but not muscles. A common drill on this day is the short 5-a-side possession game with 2 neutral players in a 20-meter square box. The duration should be short and the main focus is on quick decision making. Overall, tactical periodization says that you may have theories about how football should work, but you must always adjust those theories to what really happens with your team. A great coach needs to recognize the ideal harmony in team dynamics, tactics, and formations. And this quality is not something that can be rigidly measured. That's it, guys! Are you starting to think about applying tactical periodization in your coaching?